For 25 years, John devoted himself to caring for his bedridden wife, Mary, through every challenge. But when he began to suspect something unusual was happening in their home, he decided to install secret cameras. What he discovered would change everything he thought he knew about their lives together. The first time John and Mary met each other was in high school. Mary had just moved to a new neighborhood with her parents and enrolled in John's school. As a 16-year-old boy who had never fallen in love, seeing Mary was love at first sight for John. About a month after Mary joined John's school, the two of them became very good friends, and 3 months later, they started dating. Mary had always wanted to experience true love, so when she saw how much John loved her, she showered him with love and didn't hold her emotions back. Eventually, as the years passed, the two lovebirds graduated from high school. Since John was older than Mary, he left for college a year before Mary graduated. Despite the distance in their relationship, their love still grew stronger. Even when Mary's plan to attend the same college as John didn't work out, their relationship remained solid. The two lovers managed to stay in contact, and whenever they were on school break, they would travel to be with each other. After college, John and Mary returned to their hometown, and a year later, they got married. Mary loved baking and had always wanted to open a pastry shop. So she opened one not too far from their house, and her business boomed. While Mary ran the pastry shop, John worked as a marketer in a big marketing firm. Together, they earned a decent amount of money. 3 years after their marriage, Mary gave birth to their daughter, Grace. Unfortunately, Grace passed away 4 months later due to a brief illness. When Grace died, Mary was heartbroken. It felt like the world had crashed on her shoulders. For weeks, Mary mourned the loss of her daughter, and John did everything he could to support her. Then, precisely 2 months after Grace passed away, another tragedy struck. One evening, Mary went on a short drive to clear her head, but unfortunately, she ended up in a horrible car accident. Luckily, she survived, but the accident took away her ability to walk or do anything independently. As a result, Mary became bedridden, and the only one who stood by her side during this difficult season was her husband, John. Even though it was a lot to take in and handle in such a short time, John did his best to support Mary. He took over her pastry shop and hired someone to manage it, then quit his job as a marketer so he could look after her. In the first few years, John cared for Mary tirelessly. Friends and family expected him to eventually move on with his life, or maybe marry another woman. But when he didn't, they grew concerned. "John, I'm very worried about you. You're a young man full of life and have a bright future ahead of you. Why don't you leave Mary and find another woman?" John's mother asked him one day. She had dropped by John's house to see Mary, and seeing how stressful it was for her son to care for his bedridden wife, she became very concerned. "Mom, I can't believe this is coming from you," John said in a disappointed tone. "I love Mary, and you know I would never leave her," he added. "But John, it's been 4 years already, and you're putting your life on hold for Mary. I'm sure if you were in her place, she would have left you a long time ago," John's mother argued. "No, Mom, you're wrong. Mary would never do such a thing. I don't like it when people meddle in my life, especially my marriage. So I don't appreciate you telling me what to do," John said angrily. "You're my son, and I'm only looking out for you. You had to quit your job because of Mary. A good-paying job that's hard to find nowadays," John's mother replied. "I have made my decision, and that's final," John said firmly. "Please, Never bring up this conversation again, he added. It wasn't just John's mom who suggested he leave Mary. Even his closest friends tried to persuade him to abandon his wife and start a new family. But John refused to listen. In fact, John had to cut off some of his friends and ban certain family members from visiting his house because they wouldn't stop trying to interfere in his marriage. On the other hand, Mary had tried several times to convince John to leave her. She felt horrible that John had to give up his dream job, hobbies, and life just to be with her, but John wouldn't listen. Please, John, I need you to leave me. Every day when I wake up and see you lying next to me, I feel terrible for keeping you here, Mary said. And I'm not complaining, Mary, am I? John asked. You have a whole life of opportunities ahead of you, John. Don't waste it on me. My world ends here, but yours is out there, Mary said. No, Mary, you're my world, and wherever you are is where I want to be, John replied. There were even times when Mary tried to annoy John, so he could get angry and abandon her. But no matter what she did or said, John wouldn't leave. For 25 years, John looked after his wife, caring for her every day. He even refused to hire a live-in nurse because he feared no one would look after Mary like he would. One day, John woke up to see that part of the kitchen he had left untidy. The previous night had been cleaned, and his clothes were washed and folded. He suspected something was wrong. After Mary became bedridden, John was primarily the one who cleaned the house and did all the chores. When he woke up to a clean kitchen, he suspected that either one of his family members or Mary's family members had snuck in to clean the house. Honey, did anyone come here while I was asleep? John asked Mary that morning. No. Why do you ask? Mary replied. I woke up to a clean kitchen and clean, folded laundry, John answered. Oh, you did them last night before you went to bed. Don't you remember? Mary said. Did I? John asked in a confused tone. I totally forgot that I did, he added. You must be really stressed, honey. You work so hard, and the stress is taking its toll on you, Mary said. I guess you're right. I must have been really tired, and I forgot, John said. That day, John did not think much about what had happened. He believed he must have cleaned up the kitchen and done the laundry. But when the same thing happened twice that week, he suspected Mary was lying to him. Mary must be letting someone into the house and is keeping that from me, John thought to himself. Well, there's only one way to find out, he added. Later that weekend, John bought some small cameras and secretly installed them in the house without Mary's knowledge. 2 days after John installed the cameras, the same thing happened again. This time, it wasn't just the kitchen that was clean. The whole house was well arranged. When he asked Mary who had arranged the house, she gave the same answer. Oh, darling, don't you remember? You did all of this last night while we were talking. Mary lied. This time, John was sure he hadn't arranged the house and knew how to find out the truth. After his brief conversation with Mary, John watched the camera footage on his phone, and what he saw melted his heart. Mary had not invited anyone to help arrange the house. She did everything herself. Around 5:00 a.m. every morning, while John was still deeply asleep, Mary would push herself out of bed into her wheelchair. She would slowly go around the house and put everything in the right order. Out of curiosity, John confronted Mary about what he had seen, and when Mary realized she had been caught, she told him the truth. I'm sorry I lied, John. I was only trying to help. I know how stressful it is to take care of me and still do all the chores yourself, Mary said. You don't have to do that, honey, John said as he hugged her. That day, Watching the footage of Mary helping with the house chores proved to John that he had not made a mistake in being with her. Somehow, that single act strengthened their bond and love for each other. The two remained together until they grew older. When you truly love someone, it doesn't matter what they look like or their health condition. You can't stop loving them. John truly loved Mary, and that was why he stayed with her through thick and thin until the very end. For John and Mary, it became clear that love is more about consistent support than grand gestures. John's loyalty showed that true commitment often involves difficult choices in a world that favors the easy way out. Their experience demonstrated that real love is about sticking together through challenges, proving that dedication can be the most powerful response to life's unpredictability.